Welcome to Soda City Living, the podcast that celebrates life, culture, and community in Columbia and across South Carolina. I'm your host, Lisa Mustard, and each week we'll share the people, places, and stories that make the Palmetto State such a special place to call home. Well, hey friends, welcome back to another episode of Soda City Living podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Mustard. And this week, my guest is Toby Edwards. Welcome to the show, Toby. It is so great to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. Looking forward to our conversation.
Yeah, me too. So I want to get it straight or correct. You are the executive director of the Carolina Cup and Colonial Cups. Is that correct?
That is correct. The official job title is the executive director of the Carolina Cup Racing Association. And that encompasses both the Carolina Cup in the spring, the Colonial Cup in the fall. We also have the National Steeplechase Museum on the property, and we are a full-service training center for thoroughbreds. So it covers a lot.
Yeah, I'm so excited to learn more. I love horses. I love racing. I'm super curious. You don't sound like you're Southern or from South Carolina. So tell us a little bit about where you're from.
Oh, I grew up in England, in Dorset, which is southwest of London, right on the coast. Grew up on a farm and always had ponies and whatnot. And really, school wasn't something that particularly excited me. And on returning home from boarding school in the summer of 17, I remember my father asking whether I was going to Oxford or Cambridge. And I said, well, actually, Dad, it's the University of Life for me. I'm going straight into racing. And I started right out of school. And racing brought me to the Carolinas, and it's been my home now since the early 90s.
Nice. That's really cool. What a journey, I guess you've had. Did you initially come here to South Carolina to work for the Carolina Cup Association?
No, I started in England, and then I moved across to Ireland, where I was the assistant trainer to one of Ireland's top steeplechase trainers. And he talked about this little town in South Carolina called Camden that he had brought a horse over to for his father in 1970. And that was the first running of the Colonial Cup, which is an international steeplechase race. So he brought a horse by the name of Lescargo, who was a lot faster than his name sounds, but he was not a snail at all.
Yeah.
And little did I know that a number of years later I would happen to pass through Camden and fell in love with Camden and ended up moving here. And at that time, I was a jockey and a trainer. I was not. I didn't have anything to do with running a race meet. I was a participant, and so that was the start of my career. I didn't get into the managerial side until I retired from racing, race riding in the early 2000s.
Oh, nice. Okay. So can you share a little bit about the history of the Carolina and Colonial Cups?
Yes. So let's start with the Carolina Cup, which is the oldest one, that was first run in 1930. Skipped a couple of years during the war. We lost a year to COVID. Last spring was the 90th running of the Carolina Cup. So lot of history. One of the older steeplechase race meets in North America. And then the Colonial Cup was first run in 1970, and it ran through 2016, and then there was somewhat of a hiatus, and I was able to get it back up and running last year, and this year will be the 50th running of the Colonial Cup. So not quite the run that the Carolina Cup has, but nonetheless a a race with a lot of tradition and history.
Right. So, yeah, can you share a little bit about the tradition that people might experience when they come to one of the cups for the first time?
Yeah, I think that it's people love to dress up to come to the races in the spring. It's a very different look. It's probably the first day out in the spring for a lot of people. So the girls tend to dress up with sun hats and sundresses, and you got guys out there with button downs and bow ties and chinos, and everybody's out to have a fantastic time. The fall is a little bit different. Yeah, the weather being what it can be here in November. I can remember riding years ago in the Colonial Cup when it was about 45 degrees and raining sideways. But conversely, of course, we can get days in the mid 70s in November. So, but more of a fall outfits, tweeds if you're English, and wax jackets and Wellington boots and whatnot. So it's the Colonial Cup is the final race meet of the National Steeplechase Association's year run. And often the results of the races that afternoon will have a direct result on which horses are crowned champions within their varying different divisions. So it tends to get the very best horses at the end of the year racing here in order to try and secure their championships.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, man, I had no idea all this was happening, 45 minutes away from downtown Columbia. It's really, really
Yes,
fascinating.
Springdale Racecourse is it's the largest turf course in North America.
Mhm.
It's as big as many race courses in Europe. We don't have the infrastructure that a race course in Europe that is running, a dozen or more times a year has, but the actual racing surface for the horses is as good as anywhere in the world. And the Colonial Cup is a $150,000 Grade 1 race. So it is the pinnacle of steeplechasing in North America.
Wow.
And it generally shapes up to be a very exciting race.
So, how many people come out for these races?
But the spring is a lot larger than the fall. In the spring, we are well north of 25,000 people. We sell out most reserved parking spaces and hospitality areas. The fall, we are more in a building program at this stage, having not run for 6 or 7 years, and now having brought it back last year, this being the second year. So we're in a building phase. Last year, we were at about 6,500 people, and we hope to continue to build that out. I don't think it will ever be as large as the spring. The fall is a tough time for events. There are a lot of different things going on, as we all know, and not least of which is Williams-Brice Stadium tends to be pretty full on a Saturday afternoon. So you are competing against other events and where people might decide to spend their entertainment dollars on any given weekend in the fall.
Yeah, I can imagine you're up against, what most people are doing in the Midlands is going to Carolina. When is the Colonial?
Carolina or Clemson. I actually
Oh,
talk to
yeah.
anybody in South Florida. Where'd you go to school? Clemson, Carolina.
Yeah.
They are ardent supporters of their football program, which is fantastic.
Mhm.
But it does mean that the weekends it's hard to leverage them away from that and say to them, come and do something different for the weekend. So the Clemson Carolina game is generally the weekend after us, but I think it's the Thanksgiving weekend, I believe. So we don't
Correct.
run into that, thank
Right.
God. But nonetheless, it is not easy. They are a powerhouse and attract a lot of people.
Oh, absolutely. Everyone in Colombia has a favorite spot to call home. The real question is, where's yours? If you're buying or selling in the Midlands, Andrea Reynolds with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Midlands Real Estate is the one to call. She's not just an agent, she's a trusted neighbor who knows this community inside and out. Andrea's clients love how she makes the process smooth and stress-free. One client shared, Andrea has such incredible relationships built over her many years in real estate, and she matched us with the perfect buyers within days, and the whole process felt seamless. Are you ready to find your perfect place in the Midlands? If so, visit andreareynolds.bhhsmidlands.com or just go ahead and click the link in the show notes. And be sure to tell her you heard about her right here on the Soda City Living podcast. So these are international events. How far do horses come from? Like, what other countries are sending horses?
The very first Colonial Cup in 1970 was an invitational international race, and Marion DuPont Scott owned the race course. She was a DuPont, and she invited horses from across Europe and Australasia, and horses came from Australia, New Zealand, England, Ireland, France, Germany, and an odd one, Switzerland, if I recall correctly. Now she was a tremendous patron of the sport, and if you accepted her invitation, she then agreed to pay all your travel expenses. And as you can imagine, a ticket for a horse is not an inexpensive proposition. We all complain that paying $1,500 to fly to Europe in a cheap seat is way too much money, but believe me, a horse costs a whole lot more than that. So in the current climate, really at 150,000, you're probably not going to get international horses at this stage. But it brings horses from across the East Coast. We have horses that come down from Pennsylvania, Maryland, Virginia, horses obviously that are trained right here in South Carolina and other states in between.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So what is it like for somebody who hasn't been before, but this, they're saying, maybe I'll go check it out this fall. What do you recommend? How should they plan their visit or plan their trip?
Plan to come early. There's lots to do. There's not just steeplechase racing. We have a fantastic vendor area with lots of shopping, sort of a holiday shopping experience with somewhat unique vendors in it. We have some Corgi races in the morning. Those are always fun for the kids. We do have a very large kids zone. Also in the infield. All those activities in the kids zone are free, and kids 12 and under are also free. So my recommendation with a family is to come early, buy a tailgate space in the infield. You can set yourself up with a pop-up canopy and bring everything you need for the day. There's lot, as I say, the things for the kids to do before the first race, which is at 1:00. So it really is an all-day experience.
Okay. And how does the city of Camden change or evolve as you get ready for these cups?
The city very much embraces the races. There's a lot going on in the town if you decided to come and make a weekend of it. I think the first thing that I'm aware of kicking off is a sporting place shooting tournament on Wednesday. There's a golf tournament on Thursday. There's polo on Friday. There's different things going on downtown with varying different stores and whatnot downtown. I believe they're going to close Broad Street, a block of Broad Street on Saturday night for a block party. So there's a ton of different things going on before the races on Sunday.
Okay. That sounds really like a wonderful week of fun and events. I think I might have to make my way over to Camden this year. I love Camden. I hadn't been to Camden, and I've lived in South Carolina since 1999, and I hadn't been to Camden until like 2 years ago. And I was just blown away by how beautiful it is. And I told my husband, I was like, this is where I want to live. Like, let's move to Camden.
Yes, it is a beautiful town.
Mhm.
But as I'm sure you're aware that, the oldest inland city, and it has an awful lot of history.
Yes.
Um, I love that. And it is still, in my opinion, a relatively sleepy southern town, which suits my lifestyle. It's like a lot of towns in the south. It is going through some growing pains, but it's for me, it's a good place to live.
Yeah, that's great. So do you have a unforgettable moment of being at the races or anything that comes to mind?
Um, Lots of unforgettable moments. Some of them I'd like to forget. um, I think really for me, it's towards the end of the day, and I might be up at the very, very top of the grandstand, and I'm looking out across the property and seeing crowds and crowds of people who have been there all day and have obviously had a fantastic time, and knowing that we've been able to provide that for them, but also knowing that through their generosity in buying tickets and everything, we will have raised a substantial amount of money for charity. And so to be able to give back to this community is for me is hugely important, and it's yeah, it's hugely important to be able to give back the sort of money we do every year to the Kershaw County and the Camden community.
Oh, that's just wonderful. Okay. So I didn't realize there was a charity component to what you do there.
Yes, the Carolina Cup Racing Association is a charitable organization, and our mission statement is to raise money for the Health Service District of Kershaw County. And that organization helps people who are uninsured or underinsured. It helps with the local soup kitchen and the with wellness checks, nutritional education. It's a wide variety of aspects of health within the community. And last year we raised $100,000 for them alone. And on top of that, we probably raised another 30,000 for other smaller underlying charitable organizations, all in Kershaw County and the city of Camden.
Wow, that's incredible. Congratulations to you and your staff and the organization for doing all that. That's amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's a partnership. It's a partnership with our sponsors, MUSC Health in the spring, American Law in the fall, and all the other underlying sponsors, and then our guests who buy tickets and support us, and that is what enables us to raise that sort of money every year.
Yeah. Okay. So another question I had was thinking about the staff that you have. What does that look like towards like the staff right now that works full time, and then the staff gearing up for the events?
So we certainly take on extra staff, particularly in the spring. The core staff in the office is really only two of us full time. We make use of the university with some interns, and that's always fun. It's always fun to work with the younger generations and to get them involved in the races. So in the spring, we might have as many as 3 interns. They wouldn't necessarily all be full time, And so then we ramp up with part-time staff, but the core staff really isn't that big.
Okay. Okay. So if a Carolina student out there is curious about an internship, should they just reach out to you?
Yes, that absolutely. And I think that if you're looking and studying for event management and the tourism and sports and that sort of thing, we can give you, because we are a small operation, we can give you a very well-rounded look at what it takes to pull off an event, particularly the size of the spring. When you're bringing in 25,000 plus people, there are an awful lot of balls in the air that require juggling, and so it would be fascinating, I think, for somebody to see how all of that comes together on race day.
Yeah, I think it sounds really neat. I'm considering applying for an internship myself. I think it sounds really fun.
We'd love to have you.
Well, so my last question for you is actually something that my social media manager wanted me to ask you, which was, what's the craziest horse name that you've come across over the years?
There have been some crazy ones out there. When a thoroughbred is born, you apply to the jockey club for a name.
Mhm.
The reason being, of course, that you can't have two horses with the same name. And they vet pretty thoroughly those names so that the name will not sound different to what it is when you say it in passing as to when a race announcer is calling the race. But I think that if you Google funny racehorse names, there have been some quite clever ones out there that have slipped by the jockey club,
Yeah.
and these owners have had a good chuckle about that. I'm sure.
Yeah, that'll be what I do after this. I'm going to Google. That's great. So if people want to learn more about the races, where should they go?
So go to our website, colonialcup.org, colonialcup.org, or you can call us here in the office. My phone number here is 803-432-6513. But our website has most relevant information on it, but we're very happy to take a call and walk you through it if you've never been before and make some suggestions. And then obviously, if you'd like, you can come and visit us right here in Camden at the race offices on the racetrack.
Well, great. Thank you so much for your time and for sharing about the Carolina and Colonial Cups. I have a feeling I'm definitely going to come out and go to the museum. I really want to come to the museum and see some other things in Camden, so I might be there sooner than later. Thank you so much, Toby, for being here.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and I enjoyed it.
Thank you. Well, thanks so much for listening to Soda City Living. I hope you enjoyed today's conversation and feel even more connected to the people, places, and stories that make Columbia and South Carolina so special. Be sure to follow the show wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. And if you loved what you heard, share it with a friend or leave a review. It really helps others discover the show. Until next time, I'm your host, Lisa Mustard, and this has been Soda City Living.